Mm, Genesis chapter 2. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And in the seventh day God ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which God created and made. So, after God finished creation, we all know that he rested there, and that is why it's called. I think we as people, we know the seventh day to be on Sunday, because a week starts on Monday, and that's why we tend to rest most of the time. We tend to rest on Sundays. So as for me, I know the seventh day to be on Sunday. Sundays are except for resting, going to church, and all that. But there are other believers who think that seventh day was on Saturday, like the ones who go to church on Saturdays. But all in all, God rested the seventh day. These are the generations of the heavens and of the earth when they were created, in the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens, and every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew. For the Lord God had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. So this is the first generation. God's creation was the first generation. We were created fully matured. So when people ask what came first, egg or the chicken, take chicken, because it was the first generation. God created chicken, then he commanded it to multiply, to bring forth the seed, that is the egg. That is nowhere science can't explain. Even scientists can't explain that. They can't explain what came first. If you say it's the egg, where did the egg come from? So, I think we can go with this. First generation was created fully mature. And the Lord, but there went up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living soul. So I don't, what I don't get here is if God created man after finishing his creation. Because they are saying, that is Noah chapter 2. After God finished creation, that is Noah, he caused rain, like there was mist. They are saying there went up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living soul. So you mean, and what was created on the sixth day? Then you go back to the Genesis chapter 1. We are seeing here that God created a man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, and male and female created them. So they were created on the sixth day, but on the that is according to chapter 1, but chapter 2 we are seeing later And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, breathed into his nostrils, and the breath of life, and man became a living soul. And the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. So that I think chapter 2 is explaining what happened after. Chronically, if we go with it, they are explaining. So maybe God created many human beings. As we said, you understand later, maybe. You understand later what I mean. And out of the ground means the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of God, of good and evil. Yeah, this is where God planted Eden, the garden of Eden, and he put the man whom he had formed there. And he caused the ground to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. Tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So there was a tree of life which was at the middle of the garden, and also there was a tree of knowledge of good and evil. And a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted, and it came into 4 hands. The name of the first is Pison. This is it which encompassed the whole land of Avila, where there is gold. And the gold of that land is gold. There is bdellium and onyx stone. And the name of the second river is Gihon. The same is it that compassed the whole land of Ethiopia. And the name of the third river is Hiddekel, that is it which goes toward the east of Assyria. And the fourth river is Euphrates. So that is where I'm going to. I think they are describing Eden, how Eden contained rivers, all those trees. And so, and the Lord took the man and put him into the garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayst freely eat, but of the tree of knowledge, of good and evil, thou shalt not eat of it. For in the day that you eat, therefore you shall surely die. And the Lord said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him an help meet for him. So they are explaining how God, they are explaining how God was giving instructions to man on what he should do and what we should not do, about the knowledge, the truth of knowledge of good and evil. And out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them in unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatever Adam called every living creature, that was the name therefore. That is now how God commanded Adam to name the creatures. Like how we say this is chicken, this is a cow. And Adam gave names to all cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found an help meet for him. Adam was alone. He was a lonely man. And the rape and the Lord caused a deep sleep to fall into Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. That is how God was creating a help for Adam. He caused the man to sleep, and he took one of the ribs. And the rib which the Lord God had taken from man meant he a woman, and brought her into the man. So women were created after Adam from men's rib. And Adam said, "This is now bone of my bones, and the flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man." So it means that we are created from God, because they are saying God, they are like, sorry. And Adam said, "This is now bone of my bones, and the flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man." Like women are created from men. So that is why Adam was saying that. "Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh." So the first marriage was between Adam and Eve. And Adam was the one who said that therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave into his wife, and they shall be one as flesh. Like a man shall go out and form another family. That is his family. You forget about his mother and his father and all the others. And they were both naked, and the man and his wife were not ashamed. Remember, they were not knowing if they should be dressed or not. They were naked, because they are not taken the tree that of knowledge of bad and of evil, of good. So that was chapter 2. I think it was explaining more on how God was creating man. Because chapter 1 said that he just created. They created. We saw that there were many. God was many. So he said, "Let us form a man in our own likeness." So they are explaining. Chapter 2 is more detailed. It is more detailed on how God was doing all that. How he created man and woman. A man, then a woman. So men first, women second. That was the first family. And that is now the end of chapter 2.